So, what a week it's been in the college football news cycle. Whether we've been talking about the transfer portal, coaching moves, recruiting news, or proposed rule changes by the NCAA, there has been no shortage of topics for us to dive into. But today, we need to turn our attention to Alabama, where the Crimson Tide got some big news this week that may be flying under the radar, but Alabama fans everywhere need to be over the moon. Because a piece that could be massive to this Crimson Tide defense during the course of the 2023 season just got word that he could be set to make a full recovery. And of course, today, we're talking about Justin Eboigbe and this interior defensive line for the Crimson Tide. Before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. First off, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe Eboigbe is set for a big season in 2023? And then let me know the guys you're looking out for on that defensive line. Can't wait to hear from you. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to like, comment down below. Those interactions seem small, but they truly are massive to content creators such as myself, and both getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. And we're on a push to 20,000 subscribers. I'd love to have you a part of this unbelievable journey. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And the interior defensive line is a position group that I've been interested in for quite some time. For those of you that have been around the channel for a while, that was a position group when it came to recruiting. I was really interested to see what moves Alabama would make specifically in the class of 2023 for a few different reasons. First and foremost, there was just so much defensive line talent in the class of 2023. And secondly, it was a position of need for Alabama to address during the recruiting cycle, and they did a fantastic job doing so, getting guys such as James Smith, Edric Hill, Jordan Renaud, and Hunter Osborne at the interior. You have to love the production they were able to get. But what about the guys currently on roster? Because the Crimson Tide are set to lose two pieces on that interior defensive line that not only have a ton of experience, they were productive, and Byron Young and DJ Dale. And if we really dive into the numbers, Byron Young was the most productive interior defensive lineman from a tackles perspective for the Crimson Tide this year. Now, that being said, Jaheim Otis was number 2, and he is going to be a force on that interior defensive line. You want to talk about a guy with a bright future. As a true freshman, before the season ever began, you were hearing word about Jaheim Otis, his work ethic. And then during the course of the season, you see how much trust the coaches put in him. And what do I mean by that? Look how many snaps he played. That's going to be big for him coming into his sophomore year in 2023. The amount of experience he brings to the table, you've got to be very excited about where he's going to go. I think he's going to be a monster piece. But if we really dive into the early portions of the year for the Crimson Tide, Justin Eboigbe was off to a massive start to the 2022 season. Through the first few games, he was disruptive, and it was really looking like he was about to be in for a big season. However, that neck injury completely sidelined him for the entire year. And though it allowed others to get more reps for the Crimson Tide, I believe Eboigbe would have been a big piece of that Alabama defense, and it would have allowed them to reach the next level. Now, how much of a difference it would have made, it's anybody's guess, but I do believe another experienced presence on that interior defensive line that you can turn to through rotations would have definitely helped. But the news coming out that Justin Eboigbe could be set to make a full recovery for the 2023 season is massive news for Alabama fans everywhere, because you're not going to have Byron Young. You're not going to have DJ Dale. Though you do have Jaheim Otis and Tim Smith, two guys with a ton of experience, two guys who are very talented, and you do have talent behind them. You don't have the experience behind Tim Smith and Jaheim Otis, and you want to show up strong. But speaking of showing up strong, we also have to talk about Home Field's strong lineup of college football apparel and fan accessories. Guys, one thing I love is vintage designs, and Home Field has the best. They have everything you need, having you covered whether you need sweatpants, sweatshirts, t-shirts, they have it all. What could be better than their already great lineup? Well, for viewers of this channel, Home Field is knocking off 15% for new customers' first order when you use the link in my description and use code ATTS15. Once again, that's 15% off new customers' first order when you use code ATTS15 and the link down in the description. Thank you so much to Home Field, and back to the video. So we know that Justin Eboigbe could be set to make a full recovery during the course of the 2023 season, but what does this really mean for the Crimson Tide going forward? I keep addressing the fact that they lost two veteran pieces, the fact that they have some talent, and the fact that Jaheim Otis could be in for a big year. But what does this all really mean? Well, the reason why I think Justin Eboigbe coming back is so big is because I think it could be a beneficiary to other position battles, specifically that middle linebacker position battle. Because if you have guys on the interior of that defensive line that you have faith in, that you know they're talented and they know what they're doing, they are veterans, you're more reliant on your inside linebackers being able to focus on their job if they're brand new and really being able to come into their own. And I think that's big for Alabama going into this season because they're replacing not one inside linebacker, but both inside linebackers. So for Justin Eboigbe coming back, the veteran presence he offers, I think it's going to be big, not only for those inside linebackers, but you're having to replace Will Anderson as well. And though Alabama has recruited that position as well as I think any institution has recruited any position group in the nation, meaning Alabama with that edge position where they are stacking 5 stars, you still have to replace Will Anderson. They don't grow on trees, but something that could help is that physical interior presence, and that's something that Eboigbe brings. Look, I think if you have a full season of Jaheim Otis and Eboigbe next to each other with an individual like Tim Smith, with an individual like Payne Jr. who's coming into his own, and some of these freshmen like a James Smith, Edric Hill, they could get up in this rotation. Alabama has always been known for having a strong rotation, and having 3 guys that you know not only are very talented, but have that veteran presence, I think it's big not only for the interior defensive line room, but it's massive for that linebacker battle, and it'll make replacing Will Anderson a little bit easier, as much as it can be to replace Will Anderson. But I can't wait to hear from all of you. I think this is going to be a really interesting battle we've got to watch. We already talked about that inside linebacker battle. I think the next one we'll really address is the safeties. But with the news coming out about Justin Eboigbe and his health, I thought it was a great time for us to talk about the interior defensive line because there's a lot of names that could boom. There's a Jamil Burroughs who could be in for a big season. There are several different names we could turn our attention to, but there's just not a whole lot of experience in the room. Talent, yes. Experience, no. But that's exactly why Justin Eboigbe coming back is so big for the entirety of this room, and I think it could be big for this Alabama defense. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.